Hello, everyone who is catching us live. We had a special treat for everyone today, and we were going to have like a different background, and we're like upgrading the system and using OBS so we can have some tracking on the side so everyone knows what we're talking about beforehand and stuff. But technology, as wonderful as it is, also has its issues. So yeah, thank you for joining us this Tuesday. I'm going to do some retweets to get this sent out to my followers as we wait for some more people to join us.
Sweet. I am in Baton Rouge right now with a friend, so I'm obviously not where I normally am.
Yeah. Your cool background.
It's gone.
Okay, so Tuesdays are for technical analysis. And I know you were texting me some cool things about stuff that's happening this week in terms of price movements, but we are doing technical analysis on Bitcoin today, on Ethereum, on Tezos.
Yes.
On Zap, and Link, which are really interesting because those are kind of that I just feel like the Oracle movement is pumping lately. People are understanding the importance. There is this whole thing in blockchain where people say garbage in, garbage out, and oracles are going to be the way to solve that problem. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tezos, Swipe, Zap, and Link. So stay tuned, you guys, and then we are going to discuss just a little bit, you know how we do on the show, just a little bit. We're going to talk about some recent news and how it affects the industry as a whole.
Yes, and if we have time, we probably won't, and maybe I'll save it for next week. There's an interesting correlation going on with the crypto market cap and BTC dominance, so we'll see if we have time.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, cool. So let's start it off, Ty. Let's do some technical analysis on Bitcoin.
All right. So I don't have my mouse with me here, so we're gonna see how good my my tracking skills are here. So let's go, and let me know when you can see.
Let me add you to the stream. Perfect. Cool. We got it.
All right, so let's just dive in. Bitcoin's first. What's going on with Bitcoin? Well, a lot of people are saying that Bitcoin is going to, and I myself are saying that Bitcoin is going to break out of a giant pennant that's been forming for a while now. So it's going to break out of this pennant, but not only is it going to break out of this pennant, but it's going to break out of a lower time frame pennant as well. And I drew this one last week and showed the stream last week, somewhere to this effect. But this is not the pennant that we're going to look at today. We're going to look at a smaller one on the 4-hour and daily time frame. So let me go ahead and just show you guys that, because this is the one that is really more of a confirmation for me. Although you have the like all around like weekly time frame pennant breakout inevitability as well. So when we look at the daily and we'll even look at the 4-hour, we can see that this pennant, and this is actually a breakout that people thought was going to happen today or last night, but didn't quite happen like they thought. This pump here is what people thought was going to break out of this pennant. Turns out it didn't. It's probably going to get rejected, but that's fine, because what's happening is it is just getting closer and closer to the point where there are going to be lots of trades made, and it's going to have to make a decision. Okay, you go down, you go up. Ultimately, fundamentals lean to the upside, obviously. And so what this means also is, you would probably say, I would probably say 70, 80% chance it goes up, right? You might come across some bears who say it goes down. But what this means ultimately is that if Bitcoin does go up, then either way, with an upside or downside move, alts are going to get hurt. So if you're in any alt positions, you may want to at least evaluate after Bitcoin makes a move, at least in some of the weaker ones, maybe the ones that don't have catalysts working on them right now, working for them. So if you have, like an alt project that maybe is pumping pretty hard right now, and a Bitcoin move is not necessarily going to hurt it, then that's fine. But if you have something that's maybe dependent on Bitcoin going sideways for a little bit longer, then I would probably stay away from making a position until at least, I mean, we're probably looking like a week, according to the daily, at least a week until we see like a major move, maybe before that. But that's kind of what we have for Bitcoin. Until this major move happens, which it's going to, we see this pennant developing, it's going to happen. We won't know which direction for sure, obviously, until it happens. But that's just, you know what to do for alts, basically.
So alt season, not yet.
It's close to it, and
close to it for sure. You can tell some little ones are popping right now.
They are. It's kind of stupid. Some of these, and we'll look at one of them that's had some stupid gains.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's it for Bitcoin. But we'll go ahead and move on to what do you have next on your list?
Ethereum.
Okay. So Ethereum's cool. It's all right. It's not really. It's going to depend on Bitcoin ultimately. But the interesting thing is, so, and I've heard this theory, and I think it's true, that if Ethereum ends up pumping past this pennant that it's forming on its actual weekly. Let's see. It's less of a pennant, more of like a wedge, you could probably say, and it would take much more time for it to develop if it did. But basically, what could happen if it breaks out of this area is any token, any ERC20 token, that's on Ethereum blockchain could take a hit as well. So if you have a utility token on the ERC20 blockchain or that is on the Ethereum blockchain as an ERC20 token, you may want to consider, seeing what Ethereum does ultimately, because if it does pump with Bitcoin, because here's how I see it. I think Bitcoin pumps, Ethereum, Litecoin follow it. Some alts get hurt in the meantime. And so Ethereum or ERC20 tokens will also take a hit just because Ethereum's value goes up, ultimately kind of canceling any ERC20 value. But obviously, if you have like a mainnet like VeChain, for example, we'll look at VeChain, then a lot of these like mainnet types of cryptos are probably going to be safer than those ERC20 tokens. So not much to see here except for like a nice little curve happening.
So, Ty, you think that any ERC20 token, now just, I know that we actually have a couple of newbies on here because we just did we're running, Blockchain Center is running a blockchain course class right now to where we're teaching just people blockchain fundamentals from a business perspective, how it fits into the world. So ERC20 tokens are basically Solidity written, not forks of the Ethereum blockchain, but they're written on the Ethereum protocol. So you think that these individual tokens that have their own like stock ticker marks on CoinMarketCap, and they have their own addresses, and they have their own, they all have to get individually accepted into like a Binance to be traded. You think the price of Ethereum as the core for these tokens to exist affects the price of these individual tokens, individual projects?
I think so. So there's a correlation to. I guess first we need to like explain like what is all this like lingo that I'm saying. Okay, so if you have the Ethereum blockchain, which is the main blockchain where most of these tokens are built on. Now they can be like NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, which are just kind of like just these random tokens that you can create on the Ethereum blockchain. You can have your own essentially like your own utility tokens that are created from Solidity on the Ethereum blockchain. And a lot of these projects and companies are ERC20 tokens. They're also ERC 721, right?
Yeah.
Tokens, but most of them are ERC20. And so what happens is if the price of the Ethereum gas token or the price of Ethereum goes up, the price of Ethereum gas goes up. So all of these ERC20 tokens rely on the price of Ethereum gas staying either at a decent price or low to be able to run efficiently or run more cheaply, right? But if the price of Ethereum goes up, then obviously the price of gas also goes up. So then you lose value, right? And the token, the ERC20 tokens themselves are pegged to that value. Their value is it depends, obviously. It could be speculative, it could have utility, whatever. They have to create ecosystems outside of the Ethereum blockchain. If they don't, then they rely entirely on the Ethereum blockchain, and that's just kind of with the wind, like wherever Ethereum goes, the ERC20 tokens go.
Ah, okay. Very, very interesting point. No, I didn't understand that, but now I definitely do.
It's super interesting. Yeah,
it's super interesting because I didn't think about how gas actually does play into being able to transact. Like if anybody has ever tried to send, an ERC20 token before and you didn't have Ethereum in your wallet, you know that it doesn't get sent. Or if you don't have gas already in your wallet, then you know it doesn't get sent. So definitely those tokens are tied to the gas price, which does change it. Yeah. Anyways, we'll not talk about the technical side of things. All right. Yeah. So next we have Tezos.
Yes. So I just posted this chart on my Twitter, and I'm thinking it'll hold up the way I think it will. So let's go ahead and look at the weekly. Let's keep this back real quick. So Tezos has been in a very, very long and winding pennant, essentially. So it has a strong chart or higher highs, higher lows, following a trend line. And then it also has the tip of the spear back from February 2020. And this is on the Binance Tether chart, coming all the way down to where we are today. And what we're seeing here could possibly be a breakout. And then I also want to show here on this chart from our tip here, in terms of volume coming down, volume usually precedes price. So what that means is, obviously volume, if you're seeing like an uptick in volume, then that possibly means that, you're looking at a breakout. But also, you could be looking at obviously like a downside option as well. But in this case, we see that it did break out to the upside of this pennant. So obviously we assume that this could be a breakout above the pennant. RSI is pretty cool, which is what you want to see. And this is on the weekly too. So this is really good. This is honestly one of the most healthiest charts that I've seen in a while, which is good because, you don't have like an excessive overbought RSI. Volume precedes price. It's breaking out of a pennant. And then I'll show you on the daily, where it looks to be making support on top of this pennant. So we have the trend line coming down from the pennant, and then this is where our breakout occurs, just above. And then we're seeing, it looks like it's going to make some support here, where the bullish white candle is, right next to this bearish candle. If it turns out that this bullish candle, if we look closer, if it turns out that this candle engulfs this candle, then that is like a really good sign, and it's called a bullish engulfing candle, because it engulfs the bearish candle literally right next to it, and it has a huge body. Sometimes you can kind of discount the wicks. It's not perfect, but if it does end up engulfing the bearish candle, that's a good sign, especially if it's building support on top of the pennant. So for Tezos people, might be time. But yeah, that's it.
Cool. Okay. Sorry, there's a little bit of stuff going on with us trying to bring better streams to the table. But no, Tezos is an interesting project. I think it's one of those that in the industry has a lot of clout behind it, but also technology-wise, they're definitely connecting people in a way that I don't think other blockchains really are. So up next, we have, let me add this one.
Might be Link.
Link. Yeah, Link. So do you want to tell us, okay, Link, and we have Link and Zap. And Link and Zap are both, Link is Oracle software, no?
Yes.
It is. Okay, yes. And this is interesting because we saw Oracle's pump recently, but it's because people who are creating oracles are ahead of the time. And people are starting to realize that this whole industry, when it talks about the problem of garbage in, garbage out, it is if you put false information on the blockchain, it doesn't make it any better than anything that we have already existing. There needs to be some way that the regular world and the information that goes on in the regular world, like for example, when your shipment makes it to a certain port, or when a certain individual deceases and it's supposed to execute a smart contract to release the funds, there needs to be a link between the world and the technology. So Zap is definitely doing this. So if you want to do the link first, and then we'll talk about Zap, because Zap is definitely up.
So do you remember last week when I said that Link was going to come back down?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're right about that. And it looks like it's going to come down to the 786 level. That's my best guess right now. So here, I'll show you the weekly just so I can go like on a outside view here. So we drew this wedge last week, and essentially what's happening is now it is a rising wedge, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing. Volume's kind of all over the place, so it's really hard to use that as an indicator. But what we did recently have, which was pretty interesting, was there was some Zeus Capital. I don't know if you saw this whole story, but Zeus Capital posted basically a document, like a whole slide presentation of why Chainlink is a fraud and a scam.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and they actually promoted it on Twitter too. I saw that. So it's a promoted post on Twitter, and they're just shoving it down people's throats. It may or may not be true. I haven't looked into it yet, so I can't say that it is or isn't. But and I don't think that's affecting the price either. I just think that there's just it's just too overbought right now, and I think that it's going to have to cool down. So it came down from $8, almost $9, to where it's at now, which is about $7.26. I think it probably comes back down to around basically $6. It just seems like the most reasonable. And if you really want to look at like a really strong support, $4.34 is the strongest it has. I don't think it goes any lower than that for the time being. And I think it'll probably trade sideways at least in this range of 432 to 895. So I think that's it's a decent range that it'll stay in for the time being. And it has its own mainnet, so it shouldn't be affected by any rise in Ethereum gas prices.
Very cool. So Link is a company that started off on the Ethereum blockchain as an ERC20 token, but then developed its own mainnet. Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right. Yep. Well, I'm going to look into how that's a scam, but I do know that last week you did say that it was going to come back down, and it definitely did. So
yes. And just to like clarify, like what is a mainnet? It's basically, it's like, okay, so you have Ethereum, it has its own blockchain, and all these ERC20 tokens are built on the Ethereum blockchain. Okay, well, Link, they have their own blockchain, and if they wanted to, they could have tokens like ERC20 tokens built on their blockchain, but sometimes that's not really their purpose. Like Ethereum is really the best use case for development, like new utility tokens type of use case, but some of their blockchains, that's not their main purpose, and they don't really care to do that anyways. So that's kind of like what a mainnet is.
Good explanation. Thank you for doing that. Now let's talk about Zap. I have some people in the chat saying Zap me daddy, and have you guys checked out the Zap chart? Crypto Phoenix and Moontime, they're definitely interested in some Zap reading that we're doing today.
Okay, well, actually,
look at that candle. What?
I know. So I noticed there was a small trend here from, I think this is Hit BTC. So I don't know how many exchanges it's currently traded on. I mean, I imagine if it was traded on more, it would probably get more attention. Hit BTC is kind of like an outlier or like an outcast that nobody wants to trade on anymore because it's super sketchy. That's the exchange itself, obviously. You can't blame the tokens for being on there. They can't help it. But so with that being said, this trend here, this line follows a path of bearish continuation or bearish momentum until finally in January of 2020, it broke out of this trend. And now it has been building support on top of this trend, which is a great sign. So it looks like it's actually doing a cross now and is creating higher lows, which is a great sign. And obviously, you know, it's a great sign because you have things like what you're seeing now. And I don't know what the, let's see, if you bought at the bottom, for example, holy crap.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Well, if you bought at the bottom and you, oh my gosh, if you held till now, you'd be up 3,300% in, that's US dollar. So yeah, Tether. So yeah, that's pretty lit. So let's just say from this area though, at the 786 level, which by the way, I've been telling everybody on multiple streams, all the streams going back ever since we started using the Fibonacci retrace levels, to buy between the 618 and the 786 Fibonacci levels. And it just so turns out if you did buy, let's say you bought in the middle here and held till now, you'd be up 148%.
Wow. 148%. That's like some Bitcoin type of gains.
I know. And so the key here, and I've been looking at like the Fibonacci levels more and more, and you know, just kind of like math and how math just works with these charts and everything. It just works, and I mean that's just how it goes. So if you do use the Fibonacci retracement levels, it's really easy. I mean, you can go on TradingView, just pull out Fib retracement. What I do is, like for instance, on this chart, for example, you'll just take from the very top of the most high point that you can get, and then just bring it all the way down to the lowest. So this is the low down here, and then you just overlay it right, like just like this, and then you get the same thing I've got. And it'll tell you, and sometimes you have to do like a little customization with the levels themselves. You go to the settings, and you could literally steal my numbers I have here if you want. I don't use all the Fibonacci levels like past one. So if you want to steal mine, you can do that. But it's really easy. And like I said, if you would taken it from the middle here and just held to the top, you got 450%. So
very cool. Zap.org, you guys, check out the website. Not a Zap shill, but if you think about bonding curves and how you can create your own markets, it's very interesting to see who is going to be using these Zap oracles. So let's see. I think next we have, are we doing XRP? No, we didn't do XRP.
no, I think we're doing SXP.
SXP, Swipe Coin.
Yes. So
what is Swipe Coin?
So it's from my understanding, Binance acquired Swipe in a very what is it called? Secretive deal where, and I say secretive, it just the amount has not been disclosed. Essentially, where Swipe was providing debit card services, like crypto debit card services, across the globe. So I guess Binance wants to get into that more. So with that being said, if Binance is involved, you can pretty much bet your ass that it's gonna pump, and that's exactly what's been going on. So I can't remember when they purchased. I sent you an article. It's probably somewhere around here, actually, somewhere around the dump, maybe March, April, but somewhere around that time. Maybe even after that, Binance did acquire Swipe, and it's probably going to just keep pumping. That's just how Binance acquired coins work. Now, it will probably at least retrace to the 50, which is what it looks like. And let's get a closer look. It kind of looks like it's going to But again, like I said, it could just keep pumping because every single time I've looked at it, I had a small retrace. I think here I did call this on not on the stream, but with a friend of mine, and it did have a small retrace back to the 50, and then I think actually here as well. So it is retracing slightly. I need to look at the RSI actually, so I can pull this up and show you. So 4 hours, okay. So here's my issue with SXP right now. Daily RSI and almost weekly RSI is so overbought. Like daily RSI is like so overbought. It's not healthy, but again, with Binance, you might be dealing with something that's just, as my friend would say, Chad mode. Just going full Chad mode. So when it goes full Chad mode, it doesn't matter what TA says, because it's just going to pump. Mm-hmm. So it's possible that happens, but I think based on this data alone, based on these two candles, I think it's a good possibility of at least retracing to 50% here, which would be 1.19 down from 1.64. So let's see what it's at now. So it'd be about 27% decrease. But if you did stay in this, or let's just say you bought from the bottom, because we like to do this, you'd be up 272%. But I think, I mean, if we're looking at previous price history, Swipe wasn't anything to be considered. Like it wasn't anything like super amazing before Binance acquired it. And that top price, at least when it was listed on a tether pair on KuCoin, was $8.64.
And where are we now?
We're only at $1.64.
Very interesting.
So from where we're at now to the all-time high is 415%. And again, what we have to realize is that now that Binance has acquired it, it's a totally different game. It's not going to play by the rules anymore because Binance is such a large entity and they can do what they want. Does not matter.
Yeah, and for people who are kind of newer and need to understand the concept of exchanges almost being the gateways to accessing some of these cryptocurrencies, it's very true. Like earlier you mentioned Zap is only on I think HIT BTC and BitTrue. The fact is that you have to have access and accounts on HIT BTC and BitTrue in order to trade Zap. If Zap was on a Binance, you probably would see a lot higher gains, a lot more volume. Now, Swipecoin buying Binance, and many of you probably already know this, but Binance is the fastest company in the world to become a unicorn. A unicorn meaning that it is valued at $1 billion. So within, I'm going to say 7 months, Binance went from a new starting company to being valued at almost $2 billion. So yeah, you are correct when you say that if Binance acquires something, it's what was it?
Just buy it.
Yeah.
Probably no. It's not very good financial advice, and it's not supposed to be financial advice. But honestly,
it's not financial advice.
Right. But honestly, that's just how it works. I mean, you gotta know how to play the game. So that's just how it works.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense. And plus, like Swipecoin, if they are providing cards for crypto, to me, that's accessibility, and they deserve to pump. So good for them.
Yeah, I mean, if I guess I'm assuming their goal is to, have like Binance cards around the world, essentially creating this massive Binance ecosystem, and then they have so many entities that they're able to just kind of get around legal regulations and all these things. You can't pinpoint like one Binance. They got a location in Seychelles. They got a location in Singapore, Malta, all these different places. So you can't. What are you gonna do? Sue them?
Yeah,
can't do that.
CZ is resilient. Like I used to watch his live streams every time he would have a live stream, and he is just very much about the individual being able to keep their money, and good for him. And and honestly, everything he does it legally. So loopholes are definitely there, guys.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. So next one is
VeChain. So VeChain, for all of the students that were just on that live stream we did, and the 33 students that are joining us for this course next week, supply chain. low-hanging fruit to be disrupted by the blockchain, just by blockchain technology. So VeChain is one of those, is definitely one of those projects that already are doing things in terms of supply chain.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at, one of the companies, and it's a legit company. I try to separate, the difference between a project and a company. Project is a company or a startup that has an idea, or they have a utility token, and they haven't exactly found a good revenue model yet, or they haven't found partnerships to get the revenue model started up. So projects differentiate from companies because companies make money, right? The ultimate goal is to acquire revenue. If you're a company, you can't just sit on investors' money all day long. You have to actually start making revenue, right? So big difference between a product and a revenue, or a product and a company. And VeChain is a company through and through. VeChain is actually having their blockchain utilized by Walmart China, farmers in Italy through PwC, I think, and another organization that they work with. They've been used for like vaccine supply chains for vaccines. Wine. I think I mentioned wine already. There's so many different things. They got a lot of stuff going on, and there's actually other or not ERC20 tokens, but there are other VeChain tokens or other development on the VeChain blockchain. It's actually kind of sped up since I think last year. So they have other projects that are actually being built on the VeChain blockchain, similar to obviously Ethereum's blockchain as well. So their value is going to keep going up, and they have yet to really hit the peak, and they probably won't for a very long time. VeChain's a very long-term hold for me, but in the meantime.
Yeah, very cool. No, VeChain definitely was one of those coins that I bought a while ago and just was like, I'm holding on to this, because you're absolutely right, guys. We need to understand the difference between a project and a company, and VeChain is a very valid company.
Exactly. And so if we looked at the chart here, the weekly is overbought. So I mean, there can be like midterm coins that are overbought, and VeChain kind of looks similar to SXP actually. You can see if we look closer, these candles on VeChain at the top here look very similar to SXP's candles as well. And so they're probably going to do similar type retraces. So I expect to see a retrace like the 236 Fibonacci level, which will be about 0.013692. And eventually the RSI will pull down. We'll take a look at the daily, see if the daily RSI is good. Daily RSI is good. So yeah, I think after a retrace to 236, at that point, you're almost getting to the point where you're reaching new price discovery in terms of, I mean, this goes back to July of 2018. This might have been when VET did the conversion from VEN, and VEN was the ERC20 token that VeChain had before they made their own mainnet. And of course, when they made their mainnet, they changed their ticker to VET. And this is the conversion. Of course, price crashed. I did get double my VEN when I held on to it, though.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to the point where we're getting close to new price discovery with VET. So if we go past this level here at 0.026, that's new price discovery, and that is very bullish for VeChain. So big time.
Very cool. So yeah, you guys, I mean, I know that if you've been listening to this show and you've been following the things that Ty has been saying, you've made some money. So don't miss out this time. Yeah, it's very true. But you've been right almost all the time, Ty. So
it's good to hear. Do we have any questions?
We do actually. We have some spam, and we have someone saying, do you think that the recent BTC pump will affect alt performances short term, if it's going to have an effect at all?
recent BTC pump. I mean, the pump that we just had with Bitcoin was just minimum at best. I mean, it's still trading inside the pennant, so it's not going to pop just yet. It will when it does break out of the pennant. It will affect alt's performance, that's for sure. And so what usually happens is so you're going to have like this initial tug when Bitcoin does pop out of the pennant. It's going to be pretty radical. Bitcoin's going to pump. A lot of alts are going to get hurt for a second, and then once Bitcoin cools down, alts are just going to explode. At that point, I'm not saying going all in, but I'm not saying don't go all in. So
yeah. So we have Crypto Phoenix here saying BTC is the new stable coin. We definitely have been between 9,000 and 9,500 for what feels like forever, but it's only been a couple months.
Yeah. It definitely feels like a new stable coin.
I know. But today we saw it go up about 3%, which was nice, but still, the fundamentals, I think our hash rate is at all-time highs. You can't beat the fundamentals.
I mean, some would say that it might be building support on top of the pennant, or it could be at the top of the pennant and being rejected. Either way, I think you got like I said, I think you got like a week. And I said I think a week or 2 weeks in the last stream, I think. So about a week until you see some real movement, and I think it's going to get really wild. And yeah, like you said, we did have some movement, which is telling you like all that volatility, that volume preceding price is starting to give you an indication of what's to come.
Cool. So we got some Isaiah Jackson, who, by the way, he wrote the book Bitcoin in Black America. If you guys are interested in a very fundamental understanding of Bitcoin and why it's important, I do suggest to read that book. He has a really great voice when writing it, and just explains it in such an understandable way in historical context. And he says that Dogecoin is the standard. I think he's joking because there is an LOL there. But remember last week when we covered like Dogecoin trying to get pumped by TikTok users?
Yes.
You want to just pull up that chart really fast, Ty? Is it possible?
Yeah, we can. It's not doing so hot.
Yeah, exactly. This is what happens when, at the center, after we saw everybody trying to pump Dogecoin, we just pulled up all the TikTok videos of people talking about it, and there was no explanation about Bitcoin. It was like, well, if you put in $25, then this coin goes to $1, then you're gonna make $700. It was like nothing at all. So
yeah, unfortunately, these people don't really know. They don't really know how crypto works. I mean, if you're exposed to it on Robinhood, chances are you don't really know how crypto works. So
yeah, exactly.
Hey, good news is RSI is uptrending. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Just that the other day, I went to a store and I started talking to the owner of the store. I didn't know he was the owner, but we started talking about cryptocurrencies. And he told me, first of all, he told me Nano, which we maybe will look into that next time. Second of all, he told me, like, I told him about some other tokens, and he pulls up Robinhood and is like, that doesn't exist. I'm like, yo, Robinhood is like,
bro,
not an exchange, okay?
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all right, so what we're seeing here, Dogecoin, man. Okay.
Apparently, Elon Musk and the Winklevoss twins are trying to pump Doge too. I don't know.
I swear, this is like a giant elite pump and dump, it seems. Like it's a big meme, but they're gonna make money off of it.
Yeah, seriously.
Look, here's what I'll say: don't invest in something, or I mean, you can speculate. You could like day trade, swing trade, whatever you want to do, but don't invest in Dogecoin. Just please don't. All right, it's just not a safe investment. There are much better opportunities to make money at. In fact, let's just look at what people would have made if they bought here. 55%? Are you kidding me? I can make that in like half a day with some of these crypto coins. So yeah, there's better opportunities than Dogecoin.
Yeah. And like we said last time, I mean, I don't think that there has been development on actual Dogecoin's code for years, maybe months at least. So
definitely years.
Yeah, tell the shop owner about Zap. Oh, don't worry, Phoenix. I was wearing a Zap.org shirt when I went to talk to him yesterday.
Wow.
I mean, definitely, we need oracles. We really, really do need oracles in order for this system to exist. You can't have people saying that, we're going to disrupt supply chain without having a trusted source of information to give information to that blockchain in order to say that A, this shipment has arrived, or B, an example Nick just gave, if you have, let's say that you have an escrow or that is supposed to release the money once, I don't know, let's say once Florida goes underwater, like they say it will, but it won't, even though there is a storm happening behind me right now. Someone needs to tell the blockchain that Florida went underwater. So it's got to have those connections, but cool. Do you want to talk about Bitcoin market cap in terms of coin market cap?
Sure. We have time?
Yeah, we do. We're not limited to 40 minutes. Sorry, I texted you that.
Okay.
Yeah, because just like if you guys didn't catch in the beginning, we are doing a new stream deck outlook. Shout out to Tyler and Eric Manganaro. You guys are great people. But we had some technical difficulties today, so we couldn't show it to you this week. But next week, we will definitely have that little sidebar so you know what coins we're talking about, when, and it'll be cool and a little bit more interactive. So, all right, let me add you here.
Let me pull up BTC Dominance. And if you want to pull up BTC Dominance on TradingView, it's just btc.d. So it's percentage dominance. So what I wanted to look at here is an interesting correlation. And it's pretty self-explanatory if you ask me, but I want to see if we can figure out like any possible scenarios that could arise from what we're looking at here. The candles is the crypto total market cap, excluding the Bitcoin market cap. So that's excluding like a massive amount, and pretty much just pointing at alts.
So that's the black.
So yeah, it's all these candles up here. So the blue line is Bitcoin dominance. And let me explain Bitcoin dominance. So if Bitcoin accounts for 70% of the entire crypto market cap, well, then the Bitcoin dominance is 70%. If it accounts for, right now, it accounts for 63.74%, then that means that, the other, math, 36 point, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Can't do math in my head right now, but the other percentage that makes up 100% is the crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So the reason that this is important is because, so if we were to see an alt season, alternate season, for those who don't know what an alt season is, it's just where
altcoins make some money.
Exactly. So now, ideally, I say ideally, but actually, what would probably happen in most scenarios is Bitcoin has to reach a certain price threshold for alts to really start gaining traction. Now they're getting traction right now, and they're doing really good in terms of performance. Now, I don't know if that's reflecting in the market cap though, right? Because you could have like really like well performing alts. Like some of these out here, I think there's like UTK, SXP, obviously, Zap, some of these altcoins out here, they're doing really well, but are they adding to the market cap? And is it alt season? And these are questions that you could answer with a drop in Bitcoin dominance, right? And a raise in total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin. Because obviously, if Bitcoin doesn't make up a majority of the market cap, and alts are doing really well in terms of market cap, obviously that means what? All the money's going into altcoins, or there's a lot of money going into altcoins. Because what usually happens is the money goes into Bitcoin first, and then from Bitcoin, profits are made, and then those profits go into the altcoins, right? But in an alt season, it's not quite like that. In an alt season, what will happen is money goes into each alt individually, or it'll go into Ethereum, or it'll go into Litecoin, or it'll go into Tether, right? It'll just go into some of these alternate options instead of funneling from BTC down, because there's a lot of opportunities to make money off of these alternate investments opportunities, instead of just taking like your profits off Bitcoin and then putting them into the alts. So with all that being said, and I don't need to, well, I guess I could leave that volume there. With all that being said, what we'd like to see from this chart in particular is we would like to see this blue line go down, right? Blue line go down, crypto market cap go up. And you can see there's a correlation every single time the market cap goes up, the Bitcoin dominance goes down. It's a direct correlation, because that's how it works. So if you took this blue line on its own, Bitcoin dominance on its own, it may not look like much, right? You could say, okay, there's not really a trend to be made necessarily. You can't really, pinpoint one perfect direction for it, or if it's going to break any certain like pennants or like any patterns or anything. It's hard to tell. Okay, but when you start seeing a direct correlation to the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance, both going in the opposite directions, obviously crypto market cap going in the positive direction and dominance going in the negative direction, that is your signal for alt season.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Very cool.
So that was probably a long-winded explanation of basically saying, like, okay, when Bitcoin goes up and then stays flat and all alts go up, or Bitcoin dominance goes down, alt season.
Yeah, and to be clear, there's Bitcoin, there's altcoins, and then there's shitcoins, okay?
Yes.
So definitely a difference. We do have a question time from Alian. He says, Uphold recently expanded its fintech influences, allowing you now to have shares in the global stock market and also in crypto. Do you think the two markets will end up becoming one?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I do. What were you going to say, though? I want to hear your point.
I'm going to say no, because why would they become one company when they can just compete against each other, right? And then who has the better prices or who has the better, it's just like these different exchanges. One exchange will let you pay them a couple Bitcoin to get listed on their exchange, and then another so
well,
I think
what they're saying is, do you think the two markets, like the stock market and the crypto, will become one? Here's why I say yes. So in Malaysia, actually, we have some partners in Malaysia. The Bursa Malaysia Stock Exchange and the Shenzhen Stock Exchange just partnered this year on a cross market partnership, where basically they're going to offer stocks from Shenzhen. Bursa Malaysia is going to offer stocks from Malaysia. And the way this is possible is via a tokenized stock partnership, basically. So here's what I think is going to happen. The stock markets are going to become tokenized assets, which means that they're going to be assets that you can hold in a wallet of some sorts. And so what's going to happen?
Trying to do.
Say it again.
This is Libra's wallet.
Yes, right. So that's the direction everybody's going, right? So everything's going to be tokenized. I believe that wholeheartedly. I think everything is going to be tokenized: real estate, gold, oil, stocks, everything. So yes, crypto will become the rest, like the rest of the world, because the rest of the world will become crypto. It's just going to be tokenized.
Yeah, it's good. So. No, that definitely makes sense. And what's interesting too is this blockchain course the Blockchain Center is having. We're having our first cohort right now. If you guys want to get involved in our second cohort, go to blockchaincenter.com/education. But we have a student who is from the DTCC. And I'm like, that is, if anybody knows, DTCC is kind of like the back end system that stocks use in order to, it's kind of like their order book type thing. They are even putting out papers about how they're going to use blockchain technology to revolutionize their system. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they would become one, and it's not that they necessarily want to, but it's kind of like the whole PayPal Venmo situation, right?
Yep. Because
Cash App made so much money on it, PayPal is like, I have to do this, otherwise I can't compete anymore. So we have another question from Alian, which says, Grayscale has bought almost all of the Bitcoin mined between May and June. Is there anything to be afraid of?
You want to hit it first, or you want me?
You know, I'm going to say no, nothing to necessarily be afraid of. I think that, I think that because of game theory and because game theory keeps people in the ecosystem honest, and if they are owning all of the Bitcoin that's been mined between May and June, they've accumulated a lot of Bitcoin, and they're not going to do something to hurt their own investment. So yeah, because game theory, no.
I think it only becomes a problem if people assume that substitutes for Bitcoin are a equal source of value to Bitcoin. And here's where I'm going with this. So the example I'm going to use is when in 1934, the United States government executed Executive Order 6102, which basically stole everybody's gold, under a $10,000 imprisonment fine, which is equivalent to $192,000 today, and a 10-year prison fine if you didn't give them your gold. And then they gave people, after that, and still today, obviously now you can do like paper gold, certificates, and like, I have my gold in the bank, or all this stuff. It's not physical, right? Because the physical gold is where the value is derived from. So anything that's substituted for that is not. So when you look at stuff like, wrapped BTC, for example, which is Bitcoin's value, but on the Ethereum blockchain, that's not the same thing, right? So what if there becomes substitutes, then that's where the problem lies. Mm-hmm. But as long as you're getting legitimate Bitcoin, and obviously you'll know if you're getting legitimate Bitcoin, you can only get it to a Bitcoin address, then that's fine. And if they do continue to keep buying the mined Bitcoin supply that's coming in, great. That's just going to make it more scarce.
Very cool. No, definitely makes sense. All right, so we have another Zap individual who loves the Zap. Tokenization is the principle that drives the development of Zap oracles. Very true. Now, Aliana has one more question, and then we are going to wrap up for today. Ask Noob. Economic crisis in 1929 was due to the fact that the system allowed anyone to have a share in the stock market. One reasons what the difference with this moment. Aren't apps doing the same thing?
Like what reasons? What's the difference with this moment? Are apps doing the same thing? Anyone to share in the stock market? 1929. There's a lot more to it, actually. Won't get into the depth parts of it, but it was essentially everybody was over leveraged. There was a lot. Actually, it's funny. There is some comparisons to what's going on in crypto. Where there were essentially like so many opportunities to over leverage yourself in so many different ways in 1929. And essentially what happened was the lenders decided, hey, we want to get our money back. And they pulled the rug underneath everybody in this moment. And of course, that caused a collapse through all the stock markets and the markets in general, because everybody was over leveraged, because it was a easy way. It was very easy to get loans or to over leverage in general. So if it's easy to do the same thing in crypto, then you could essentially have the same situation. Obviously, unless if it was global or if it was more accessible, then it would make more sense. But you could have the same thing essentially.
Very cool. Yeah, 1929. A lot of parallels to what's happening today for sure. Except hopefully they're never going to confiscate all the gold again, because who knows?
It's already gone.
I know. And also, they can't confiscate our Bitcoin. So
nope.
A little bit different. Nope. So any closing messages from you, Ty, to our lovely Trading Tuesdays crowd?
I would just say awesome questions. Please keep up the questions. I think it's a great opportunity to just keep going through a lot of this stuff. If you ever have any token recommendations or suggestions, I'd love to go through them. And yeah, like I said, just keep up the questions, keep educating yourself, and thank you for watching. It's been a blast.
Very cool. Thank you, Ty. And I think we talked about This is not financial advice. I do need to say this is not financial advice. Always, always, always do your own research. As with any investment, you should always do your own research. Just because somebody can dance on TikTok doesn't mean you should buy Doge, whatever. But Zap, Swipe, SWP, and VET. Take a look, you guys. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Ty, and thank you to everyone who was watching, and we will see you again next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Bye.